Welcome to the Wednesday Rankings Show, our fantasy football show every single Wednesday here on the FLURRY Sports YouTube channels. Definitely subscribe on YouTube if you're watching somewhere else, as we are pursuing 17,000 subscribers there. We're getting dangerously close. I believe that's
Don't let us get to 17,000.
Don't it. You know what? Our egos. If we get to 17,000, that's the number we've had circled the entire time, and you guys are falling right into our traps. But sorry to think out loud. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I think we're still waiting on our 12K goal promise, but we'll for sure promise something for 17K. It's going to be huge. But yeah, we're talking fantasy football. This is the biggest week of the season thus far, just because of all the injuries and players just playing poorly. There's been a lot of reoccurring questions tonight. We're going to answer all of your questions that you ask, so definitely ask that. But we will reference the rankings. We'll go over it a little bit. But if you're on YouTube, the rankings are linked in the description below. We're not going to go one by one, so you can go over there and look at them. If you're not on YouTube, go to flurrysports.org. It'll be one of the first articles there. But we'll compare them to the consensus. We'll talk about some of the rankings. We'll talk about some of the injury news and other random stuff that's happening right now, because there is a lot. NFL is in disarray. If the NFL somehow robbed us of a Malik Willis return to Tennessee this weekend, I don't even know why they're teasing that Jordan Love could be back. You can't do that. What a heartbreak for Malik Willis that would be. Like, I would retire. Right. Like, this is what we play the game for. This is what we're here for. And now you're taking me. Yeah, I can't do
that. As much as he says it doesn't matter that they're going back to Tennessee, you got to be a little pissed off being benched for Will Levis.
First, you have to. Like, the first 2 weeks, just watching what he's done, and then now you already have more season wins as a starting quarterback than he does. That's insane. It's something. We'll talk about the Packers more immediately after this on Lombardi sweep. It'll be an interesting show, I think. Lots to talk about, and I'm interested to see your guys' takes, because you guys were so negative last week. And that's the thing about that show. You guys are two negative Nancys. I'm the positive one. It was something. But let's talk about quarterback rankings right now, and anything else you guys ask us about as we go. Ranking quarterbacks are it's a little bit different this week, but pretty much the same typical names up there. I do have Josh Allen at number 1. I mean, last week was a fluke just because of the game script. Number 2, I have Jalen Hurts. Again, he's also rushing for touchdowns. Then it gets a little wacky after that. I do have Lamar Jackson 3, but he could go anywhere between 3 and 8 for me this week, I think, depending on how I feel. And that goes for all of these names. Kyler Murray is at 4. I don't want to reward good behavior for him, bad behavior by the Cardinals in general. But I just couldn't even, I don't know who could finish above him if he just plays a normal game. I know Kyler Murray's probably going to shit the bed, but he should rush for 50 yards. And if he rushes for 50 yards, he's probably going to have a passing touchdown. And at that point, I don't know if any other quarterback's going to be good enough to beat him. But then I do have Patrick Mahomes 5 at Atlanta. Several of those guys have already been bad. Patrick Mahomes' fantasy stats really aren't very good. So, what do you guys, he's finished as quarterback 14 both weeks. What do you guys think of that top 5? And the other name that could be up there for me is CJ Stroud, obviously, but I don't know how you trust anybody other than maybe Derek Carr. I kind of want to put Derek Carr in there, but I know as soon as I do, that whole thing's going to fall apart too. But Luke, what's your thoughts of those guys?
I mean, Kyler Murray, right? It was kind of like everyone who's on it's the Kyler Murray season. It kind of felt a little vindication last week. Right. And Arizona, to the credit to them, I think they looked awesome. They were probably, one of the select winners of the week last week of the exclusive group. To your point, Kyler Murray's going to run. He plays a Detroit team who kind of feels like maybe this is a little bounce back week for him. That's not a shot against Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay is a very good football team, but Detroit is not going to score 16 points again in this game. This is a game where Detroit's going to put up points. Makes me love Kyler Murray just being on the field, and just let, as we saw last week, just give him the ball and let him just kind of do what he wants. And that came out to a top top finish at the quarterback position last week. I love your thinking there of, rushing for 50 yards, going to be a passing touchdown. People are loving the idea of Marvin Harrison being involved in only he has 4 catches, and they all came in the first quarter. But I imagine that probably gets extrapolated a little bit, right? Once Arizona really has to need him. So I like Kyler Murray as the top 5 guy this week. To your point, like, for Patrick Mahomes, I understand, the resistance of putting him top 5 because he has not looked great, right? Especially with, who knows who the fuck's going to be running the ball for them this week. But given where you drafted Patrick Mahomes, third, fourth round, I mean, you have to start him.
Have to.
Yeah, I drafted Mahomes middle of the 4th round just because the way our league is set up and the way it was going, I didn't like the other receivers, and I've been completely disappointed. I think everybody has. There's probably a lot of people out there that have a Kelsey Mahomes stack wondering what the hell is going on right now. To your point about Derek Carr, like, it's tough to not put Mahomes at 5, but Derek Carr and that Saints offense is a fucking unit right now. I mean, they made the Dallas Cowboys defense look like Swiss cheese, and I think the Cowboys defense is overrated, but like, they deserve their props. They've still played well. So it's definitely something for me to keep an eye on. But I think Mahomes has to be there for maybe one more week. Starting week 4, though, I think you can start to have that conversation about whether he's top 5 or not.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even consider the Cowboys defense good. I'm done with that. The way their run fit in that game was embarrassing. They have no shot to win any game going forward if they do that same thing. Like, you can have all the pass rushers you want, but if they quite literally, I've seen the school for the blind play better defense and like match up. It doesn't make sense. They ran away. From it's like 11 Quay Walkers out there. I don't understand what was going on. It was, Micah Parsons, like, that's on film. Like, he's juking out the running back. I don't get it. But yeah, whatever. So we'll see how the Cowboys do, and if they don't do well, maybe Derrick Henry's going to run for 200 yards. Wouldn't that be the most?
Let's hope so.
Brother, this game could be like the Ravens are 0-2. Cowboys could get ran out of the building.
Especially Ravens can't start 0-3.
No, their fucking schedule after that, it doesn't get easier. If you start 0-4, you're cooked, especially in that division. They go to Dallas, they're home against Buffalo, to Cincinnati, and then they have a home game against Washington, to Tampa, to Cleveland, home Denver, to Cincinnati, to Pittsburgh, to the Chargers. Like, this schedule is brutal. Like, 0-2 sounds tough.
Out of those, 10 games we just listed, like 2 of those are probably guaranteed wins for Baltimore.
Yeah, and we'll see their health. Like, Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson keeps taking hits, and that right side of the offensive line is so bad.
Yeah,
it's up there for one of the worst right sides of the offensive lines in football. Not that anyone's making those power rankings, but we should. It's Daniel Faalele or whatever. He can't move. Like, if it's out of arm's reach, he's done on the play. It's like Becton for Philly. He had a couple plays in that last game. It's like, holy shit, he has no shins. Like, he is like his knees are into the ground.
Yeah, Faalele is the biggest human I've ever seen, and that, like, you're right. That guy cannot. Yeah. He cannot take a step laterally.
No, that's why they put him at guard, because it's a 6'9", 400-pound guard, and it's because he can't move. If he's at tackle, he was cooked. He was cooked at Minnesota against like Northwestern DNs. It was not good. Okay, but I digress. Any quarterbacks that stand out to you that you want to talk about other than Derek Carr? Because he's one of the only ones we've talked about.
I'll throw one in there. That's maybe kind of like a probably. I imagine a lot of people picked him up this week. A lot of people are probably streaming him, given, if they have a Brock Purdy or Jordan Love on their hands. Like a Baker Mayfield, are you scared off of a Patrick Surtain at all for Baker Mayfield, or is it just kind of ride the hot hand here?
I'm not scared because, like, you take Mike Evans away and it's fine. You still have Chris Godwin right now. Chris Godwin's the number 1, and he's playing in the slot, and Surtain's just not going to go to the slot. So
I don't know about you guys, but I fucking love Baker Mayfield. I was never completely off the hype train. I thought he kind of got the short end of the stick, especially in Carolina. Dude, I mean, who would have thought stability helps quarterbacks? Dude's looking like an absolute gamer. Nobody's talking about like, his personality or anything. Like, does Tampa Bay have their franchise quarterback? I think they do.
When Baker's winning, Baker's good.
Yeah.
I mean, if Tampa starts losing, the media will tear him down because, I mean, he's a prick, right? I love
sure.
Baker Mayfield. He's a prick. So, like, if he's losing and he acts like a prick, it's not great. If he's winning and acts like a prick, then it's funny. It's charming. It's the Aaron Rodgers thing as well. Aaron Rodgers losing is the worst human anyone's ever seen.
Yeah. The only other one I had, and it's probably a really obvious one. Like, you probably start him anyways if you have him. But I don't know. Is this like the last time that you can really like buy low on or Jamar Chase? Because it feels like Washington coming to them, it feels like 400 yards are coming from Joe Burrow this week.
It should, but I mean, they look bad. They look bad. They look slow. This is possibly the worst pass defense in the NFL, though. So, like,
right.
They should. Jamar Chase, I know I'm low on him when we get to him. I know I'm low on him this week. I think I have him at 9 or 8 or something. But, like, it's really tough for me to even put him top 10 because of how he's looked. But given the matchup, he should be number 1 or 2. He should have 200 yards if T. Higgins is out. And if T. Higgins is in, I mean, both 100, both should look good. Joe Burrow should be good. But I don't know.
Is that depending? Do you think there's a chance that Zach Taylor's on the hot seat at the end of this year? Like, not on the hot seat, but like the real hot seat? I mean, obviously, if they go 0-16 or whatever, yeah. But I mean, realistically.
So, like,
Taylor
just to maybe spice up that question a little bit more, Trevor, what does it take for Zach Taylor to be on the hot seat this year?
It would take a very good revenue year for the Cincinnati Bengals because it's all about money there. They are the cheapest ownership in the NFL, cheapest front office. So Zach Taylor is extended through 2026, though. So he only has 1 more year or 2 more years through 2026 season. Okay, so he's got a couple more years after this. He would have to be atrocious for him to get fired. They're going to give him at least 1 more year, I think. Like, legitimately, 2 wins, and they might be like, there's a lot of drama with those receivers. It's not Zach's fault.
Yeah, I would imagine there's still a mindset, too, of Burrow's been hurt the last 3 years. Let's give Taylor some slack here.
It should. That's fair. I don't think he's a great coach by any stretch of the imagination. I've never been, even moderate on him, I guess, but he's not the reason they're losing usually. He's the reason Joe Burrow has chronic injuries now.
For sure.
I'll put that fully on him, actually. But yeah, Quinn wants to know Burrow or Mahomes rest of season. I'm going Mahomes.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Chiefs still have to pass the ball. They'll be fine.
Right, and even on a per game basis, like though. I do not believe Joe Burrow will ever play a complete season until he does it.
Right.
But even still, I think Mahomes on a per game, I like him more.
Yeah, I've learned over these last 6 years that you're not going to make money betting against Patrick Mahomes. So I think bite the bullet, and not even bite the bullet, but it's Mahomes.
On top of that, I mean, obviously Burrow is Jamar Chase, but I think Mahomes is the better weapons.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah,
they're not. It's not. I don't think it's a huge difference, but I just don't think Jamar Chase or T. Higgins are going to try. It certainly hasn't looked like they've tried so far. And Randy wants to know: do you think Bryce Young plays again this year? 1,000%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Andy Dalton's getting hurt maybe in 2 weeks, probably this week. There's no way Andy Dalton wants to play 15 games. No way.
Right.
I mean, unless it would be the funniest thing if Andy Dalton gets hurt and they sign someone or trade for someone to play ahead of Bryce Young. Again, that would be an interesting situation.
Are the Carolina Panthers going to win a game this season?
Yeah,
no.
They might win this week.
No.
That is a game I will not touch.
Yeah, I agree with you. But no.
I think Andy Dalton passes for over 300 yards this week. Who says no to that? His
I mean, I won't.
underdog line. We'll get to that in a little bit. I was scrolling there. His underdog line is 214.5 passing yards. I'm not sure if I could hit higher faster.
So why do you have him ranked at 26, 24 then?
He could pass for 5 interceptions.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But he's going to get chunk yards. He's going to come up in my rankings for sure. I did my the top half of my rankings. I think I like quite a bit. The bottom half for like each position, I'm going to shuffle it more tonight. But yeah, I think Bryce Young plays again this season, and I think Andy Dalton's going to have a good game. He's going to. I think the last time he came in last year for Carolina, I think he passed for over 300. Everything's better seemingly in Carolina this year, offensively, right?
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
Like, I don't think they lost anybody. They've only gained people.
Yep.
Okay, so compared to the consensus, I'm 4 spots higher on Deshaun Watson at 15, and I'm 3 spots higher on Aaron Rodgers at 20. I am 7 spots lower on Brock Purdy at 17. They have him as a top 10 quarterback this week. I'm 3 lower on Caleb Williams at 21, and I am 4 lower on Matthew Stafford at 28. This does seem like a game Matthew Stafford somehow pulls a rabbit out of a hat, but on paper, I don't know how.
Yeah, it makes sense why you have him that low. I agree with you 1 trillion %. The first Purdy, I think I'm done with Purdy, right? And maybe it's not my fault for even getting on to Purdy. But it's just not like Purdy's not going to be your quarterback on a championship winning team. And who was the first one that you said that you had higher?
Deshaun Watson.
He looked fine last week, right? It's been kind of a tumultuous tenure for Deshaun Watson. Like that might have been his best game as a Brown. So if it's taking anything, I don't hate Deshaun Watson this week, guys.
I get what you're saying, but it's a ringing endorsement that you're like, he looked fine. That was his best game in Cleveland. He did do some Deshaun Watson things, so that's nice. And I'm not talking about, masseuse things, like on the field things.
I mean, to that point though, like the Browns are going to get the ball more than average, right? As soon as Myles Garrett breathes on Daniel Jones, that's like 4 turnovers. So I mean, Deshaun Watson will have the ball.
Right. My only worry with Deshaun Watson this week is if they can just run it for 150 yards, which is possible. But last week, truly, it just looked like he wanted to win the game. And I'm not sure I can say that for pretty much any other time I've seen him in Cleveland.
Agreed.
He looks so disinterested. I posted something mean about Deshaun Watson on Twitter, and there's people coming to defend him. So that's cool.
Crazy.
Apparently, his dad died recently. From where I'm from, you have the best Monday Night Football performance of all time after
Correct.
that. But in Cleveland, I guess it's an excuse. To me, Deshaun Watson doesn't get any excuses anymore. If you settle for anything, then you kind of give up that right, I think. So,
Yep.
It is what it is. Roshan, not Johnson, even though we're trying to find where the hell he is as well. Do I move Josh Jacobs? Did he get in a fight?
Yeah, with Al Shire Sunday night. Roshan Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not really a fight. He kind of just got bitch slapped, but.
Dude. Al Shire looks like such a dog from that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh my God. He was surrounded and he was like,
yeah. It was 1 on 22. It was a scene in Game of Thrones where Jon Snow takes on the whole army.
Yeah. Couldn't have looked better. D'Amico stands up for him. Everything about it's terrific.
And that's a football name too.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Okay. So do I move Josh Jacobs and tank Dell for Garrett Wilson, or Connor and Dell for Michael or Marvin Harrison Jr.? I almost like
what I guess this really comes down to, because I'm on the boat of like, I think you get another good week out of Josh Jacobs here. I think especially Malik Willis is at quarterback. They're still going to run the ball 50 times. So whatever you value Garrett Wilson at, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would do this trade in a heartbeat, but do you roll the dice on Josh Jacobs again?
Yes, I would.
Tennessee's good. Tennessee's legit good.
I think this game's going to be scary close. I think that defensive front can do some things to Josh Jacobs on the ground.
The only thing I truly think is even worse than average on the Titans is their quarterback, who's horrendous. But like Josh Jacobs had a bad fantasy week last week. No one's talking about that. He had a great real life week, but with no touchdown. I think he was running back 22. No catches, I don't think. Maybe one.
And
like,
that was a bad fumble.
Was a bad fumble. But like obviously he looked good last week. Obviously he ran well last week. But just the fact that that was but not a good fantasy week whatsoever is kind of insane. It's kind of a mind fuck. But yeah, I would trade for Garrett Wilson. Again, I don't think Garrett Wilson's going to have a great game tomorrow. So maybe you don't need to, panic. I personally think Josh Jacobs' value is going to go down. But if you're like Luke and somebody, or even if you think it, like whatever, if you think Josh Jacobs, you want one more week of him, I don't think Garrett Wilson's stock is going to go that much higher against the Patriots, in my opinion. Do you guys agree with that or no?
Yeah, I agree with the Garrett Wilson part for sure.
Yeah,
I do too.
For reference, his team: Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Aaron Jones. So loaded, obviously.
Wow.
And then Chris Godwin, Rashee Rice, Tank Dell, Deontay. So yeah, I definitely love what you're doing, and yeah, you have wiggle room because of your depth at running back. Okay, so here's kind of the question, in my opinion. Who do you think is going to fall off first, Josh Jacobs or James Conner? I think Josh Jacobs, but I do think that's a real conversation.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And of course, this is coming right after I talked him up. But I think as soon as Jordan Love gets back in the field, like they have less of a reason to run the ball. So yeah, I'm with it. I think Josh Jacobs falls off. Like I said, the injury concerns are there. Like Packers aren't going to run the ball 53 times every single game this year. So that's why I think you ride it out with Josh Jacobs one more week and try to get as much possible out of him. Like I said, I still think he gets the ball, 25 plus times this week, and if he can do anything, even 75% of what he's done the last couple of weeks, I don't think his fantasy stock takes that big of a hit.
For me, I'm going to say Connor falls off first. I think Josh Jacobs is fine this week. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I don't love the game script against Detroit. Like, I'm not saying Detroit's going to beat him by 30, but I think it becomes a Kyler Murray has to, or puts a team on his back. I don't know, how much running he's going to get. And even if he does, like, he ran really well last week, but he was very much buoyed by that one touchdown, and he has been his entire career. I just, he goes through these spells, and I feel like he's not going to score this week, and I think he's going to get hurt pretty soon because he's James Conner, and then it becomes really hard to sell him after that.
Yeah, my only pushback on that is I think in order for Kyler Murray to kind of put the team on his back in the second half, like James Conner has to at least be somewhat productive. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson is too good of a player to let Kyler Murray put the team on his back. So I think James Conner has to be somewhat involved for them to kind of replicate what they did last week.
Yeah, he's the running back that's playing. So I think he's safe. And they're going to have to check it down. Kyler Murray likes to do, big dropbacks because he can't see. So then Aiden Hutchinson's going to come straight up the field, and Kyler Murray's going to get loose. Like, there's going to be this very clearly could be a shootout game. Like, it's pretty obvious. But on the other hand, both teams want to run the football first. So, it depends. If the offenses are successful, it's actually, I think, successful, right? I think it's going to be a lower scoring game because I think both teams are going to want to run it. But if they all of a sudden are making big mistakes and they're going to have to go for chunk plays, then all of a sudden I think there's actually going to be more points scored. So I say that to say James Conner I think is fine. Tarnveer.
Taroya. What up, Tarnveer?
Yeah, cool name. Accepted Kelsey and Ford for Pollard and Jones in likely. God, that always fucks me up. In a 14-man. My other running back is Kamara, and the wide receivers that matter are Wilson, Pickens, Puka, Shakir. So
I hate this.
Yeah.
I think Kelsey's fine, but as soon as Nick Chubb comes back, you're hurting at running back, brother.
I agree.
Yeah, that's where I am too. I'm not super high on Pollard or Jones individually, but I mean, we're putting a lot of stock into Kamara as well. I love Alvin Kamara this year. I think he's going to be a stud, but to your point, anything happens to Kamara, I mean, you are fucked.
I think Tony Pollard's fine, and Aaron Jones is good when he's healthy. It's just whatever. It depends on. Yeah, depends on the Vikings offensive line. I don't hate the trade out. Oh, he gets the other side, so he gets Kelsey and Ford.
No, if you
Or
get
no,
Pollard, Jones,
he
and Likely,
gets
I like
Pollard.
that much better.
Yeah, I still think it's relatively even. I don't think there's a huge winner or loser. Hopefully Likely's not your tight end one. I don't think that's trustworthy.
Even so, I think, you can stream tight ends. I think, I mean, that's not great,
In a
but to your point,
man league, probably not.
If you're hoping Likely, oh yeah, 14 man. If you're hoping Likely's your tight end one, it's going to be a little difficult. I don't know how much I buy that, but I still think you definitely won the trade.
Richard wants to know Zamir White or Carson Steele. Team got decimated by injuries. Let's jump into the running back rankings, and I'll let you know who I have higher. I think both guys could be pretty well involved. I have Zamir White at 26 at the current moment. I have Carson Steele at 30 at the current moment. Carson Steele is going to be given the opportunity to be effective and to hang on to the football. If he doesn't fumble it, I think he's going to be given a lot of opportunity. But I think Samaje Perine very involved. And if he screws up at all, Kareem Hunt is there now. So that's why I have him a little bit lower. Zamir White. True. Zamir White, I don't think is necessarily a very good player. And I think their offensive line is horrendous, but they play Carolina. So he's going to get to run the ball. I still don't understand why people are entertaining Alexander Madison and acting like he is the running back to own, acting like he is worthwhile, acting like anything that he's done so far hasn't been a fluke.
Yeah, I need to just put out a statement that Alexander Madison has never been the running back to own.
No. But has there been any 2 touchdowns this season that have been bigger flukes than the 2 that he scored?
No.
They just, one was he had a 34-yard or something like that catch and run, and people are like, Alexander Madison's the receiving back. What the fuck are we doing? People don't know anything. You're so stupid. It's so dumb. I think he finished 5 or 6 carries last week for 1 yard and a touchdown.
Yeah, Alexander Madison is to me the 8th option on this offense behind Devontae Adams taking the first 3, Brock Bowers taking the next 3, and then Zamir White taking the next one.
Yeah. I mean, I say that to say I think this is a game that the Raiders are not trailing, much like last week, and I think they're going to be able to lean on him, especially with the Panthers' run defense being so poor. I think he scores a touchdown. I think he's going to be good. I think he's slightly safer than Carson Steele. Carson Steele, I kind of need to see before I fully trust. Yeah, I'm not overly sold on what I've seen from Carson Steele. I think he's fun, but that's about it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Obviously, Andy Reid isn't the type of coach to send you to the gulag because you fumble once, but he did fumble this past week. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's something to keep in the back of your mind too.
I mean, that's why they brought in somebody. That you need to have a backup option. Okay, so running backs this week, though, I know I'm very different than the consensus. My number 1 running back is Bijan Robinson versus the Chiefs. He hasn't scored yet. That feels like a fluke. I have Jordan Mason, number 2 at the Rams. Devon Achane, 3 at Seattle. Alvin Kamara, 4 versus Philly. Breece Hall, 5 versus the Patriots. And there's a chance I think 4 out of my 5 aren't in the consensus top 5. I think mine's very different. But Trevor, what do you think of those 5 players?
I like that you have Kamara in the top 5. I mean, when we have guys like Charbonnet at 17, and I'm not saying that's a bad ranking, but, with the sheer decimation of injuries and the way the season's going, I think we need to, there's no time like the present to start putting Kamara up there. I've talked about it. I'm huge on him. I think this offense is a lot better. They're using play action a heck of a lot more. I think that only helps things. Obviously, there's going to be suspected regression, but I mean, this team, if they want to win, I think you got to just get Alvin Kamara the freaking ball in space. It's that simple. I think he's a top 5 running back the rest of the year. I think we're going to look back on him as the steal of the draft. So to see him at 4, I like it because I believe you said consensus doesn't have him in the top 5. You said
for sure not. No,
I don't understand that. I think he's got to be consensus top 5 until something else happens because I don't see why he's not right now.
Yeah, Trevor, I agree with you. It's hard to argue against him being outside. I think it's hard to argue with Jordan Mason being outside. Bijan Robinson, I agree. It kind of feels like we're due for a big Bijan Robinson week coming. Breece Hall, I don't know what you guys think, but with that Jets game, Braylon Allen scores twice. I'm not scared if I'm a Breece Hall owner, right? It kind of just feels like how the game was going with, just kind of rotating in based on how many drives they were in, and Braylon Allen just happened to be the benefactor. I can certainly see Breece Hall filling that same role. I'm not scared about Braylon Allen at all, even though I love the guy.
It looks like consensus has changed a little bit since I did my rankings, and I'm assuming it's because I did my rankings. Not to be an ego person, but you can sort by the top experts at the position, then people usually copy. So the consensus top 5 right now is Bijan, Breece Hall, Saquon, Jordan Mason, Kamara, and then A-Chain. But yeah, I mean, the Saints, if you guys haven't watched it yet, and a lot of people haven't, they just watch, see the box score, and that's fine. But they are running the Kubiak system, so you can go back and look at any Kubiak coach team. It's a zone scheme up front. It's beautiful when it works well. But just the dogs that the Saints have up front now, like Trevor Penning is now playing right tackle. Thank God. They got Lucas Patrick at left guard. They got Fuaga at left tackle. They are just mauling people. When they actually have to drop back and set up for pass protection, I think there's going to be some issues. But when they're playing with a lead and they can just attack people, there isn't a better run blocking offensive line in the league right now. So that's why Alvin Kamara, all of a sudden now I'm like, okay, I'm going to believe Alvin Kamara now. I don't think he's necessarily a good player. I think you can definitely sell high on him after this week. I think there's going to be a bigger share in the backfield. But as of now, go for it. And I think this offense is legit as long as they get out to a fast start. They are not a team built to come from behind, in my opinion. And that's mostly because the offensive line, Derek Carr. Sorry. We'll go Richard's question first, and then we'll go to Squids, and then we'll go to Jay. Messing up the order. One more, if you don't mind. Should I drop Trey Benson? That's for Cam Akers. No. I have Joe Mixon, and kind of worried he's going to be out for a while. I think Joe Mixon's out next, or comes back next week. Regardless, I think Dameon Pierce is back this week, and Cam Akers fumbled. He's going to be given a chance again. Cam Akers is going to score a touchdown and then fumble it twice and then get cut. This is what Cam Akers does. So do not do that. And you don't drop the James Conner handcuff. Don't do it.
Yeah. Richard, I'm telling you, as someone who's drafted Cam Akers each of the last 5 years, it sucks having Cam Akers on your team.
But for Dynasty, it's fun because he's going to pop up.
Yeah.
So fun.
And I mean, for James Conner, how long has James Conner been in the league? How many years has he been healthy the entire year? I mean, that answers your question right there.
He was pretty healthy last year. But yeah, they're gonna split it, and he's gonna get more involved. I think he's gonna have, by the end of the season, a week-to-week flex value role. I think he's too good not to be on the field. Squid, do I trade Olave and Shakir for Garrett Wilson? This is a tough one because Garrett Wilson and Olave both haven't performed up to what we hoped they would be. And I think for most of us, just you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think most of us would say Olave is performing closer to what we view him as his value than what Garrett Wilson is. Because I don't think any of us are big Olave guys. Am I correct when I say that?
Yeah, I think he's a fine player, but he's not, he's not a top 20
Correct.
receiver in the NFL.
Right. And people continue to put him in the borderline top 10 status for fantasy and other stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I think out of these 3 players here, right, the best is Garrett Wilson. This is an odd one, right, because the unknown there is Khalil Shakir. What do you take away from that Buffalo win over Miami last week? James Cook's not going to have 3 touchdowns again. Josh Allen's going to have to run the ball more than he did. And if he passes, who does he pass to? Who the fuck knows? If you really want Garrett Wilson, I feel you can probably talk up Shakir a little bit. But I don't know. This is a really weird trade that I don't really have a strong opinion on. I guess I'm going Garrett Wilson just because I like having the stars on my team. That's what wins you championships. But I don't know how much this really helps you in the long run. But I mean, like I said, Garrett Wilson's the best player out of these three.
I think it at least puts your mind at ease. To your point, like, how much does it really help you in the long run? Probably not a lot, but like, are you ever going to start Shakir with confidence? Probably not. Are you ever really going to start Olave with confidence? Probably not. At least not as your wide receiver one. Probably not even. Well, maybe as your wide receiver two, depending on how deep the league is. So, I mean, to get a guy that you can plug and play and not have to worry about, I mean, that's kind of priceless. So, I would do it. But to your point, this is a weird trade.
In the Monday stream, I said this a lot to Trade Questions, where there's players who I thought were going to have really bad weeks or could have pretty bad weeks. Like, I think the value is going to change pretty dramatically after 3 weeks of the same. I don't think Garrett Wilson's going to have a very good week. I think Chris Olave has an opportunity to, and Shakir is just going to be hit or miss. Like, it's never going to be predictable. I don't think. I think he's a really good player, but it could be a hit week for him. So, like, I think you could get this trade next week, and I don't think not taking it this week's going to hurt your value for this week, is my point. And I think next week there's a chance, like, if Garrett Wilson doesn't do anything, which is possible against the Patriots, and Olave goes for 120 and a touchdown, now you can get a lot more. I would still do that trade, I think, if that scenario happens, but then you could get more for it. So that's what I would do. J2 Nice, couple back to back. Stevenson or Pollard. I am Stevenson all the way.
Yep. I'm Ryan Stevenson until he doesn't show me anything.
Correct. Would you start Rashid Shaheed over Mike Evans this week? It's close. I think I have Shaheed over him. It's very close, though.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like I'm a reborn Mike Evans guy. Like, I like Mike Evans now. I did not like him when we first started doing shows like this. But if there's one thing to know about Mike Evans, he gets shut down by the top corners in the league. So I'm going to ride Shaheed just like Stevenson until he shows me he doesn't do it.
Who's Tampa playing again this week?
Denver.
Oh, okay, shit, yeah. I usually feel like Evans because we've seen the same story with Shaheed over and over again, but Surtain is the best corner in the league. I don't think it's a far stretch to say Evans stays under 50 receiving yards and no touchdowns. And I don't think that's an indictment on Evans at all.
And then Kincaid or Goddard. I have Kincaid a little higher. I think they're both fine. Obviously, I think Goddard's safer, but I would go.
What did Goddard? I'm probably ignorant for not knowing this. What did Goddard do last Monday?
I can get you his exact stats. It was pretty average. Like, it was a good fantasy week, but it wasn't like insane. He had 3 for 38. So, like, I think that ranked fine because tight ends have been so shitty. But yeah, nothing crazy.
Yeah, then I'm going to roll the dice on Kincaid. I think he probably has a better chance of finding the end zone than Goddard does.
Start 2. Okay, I almost blocked you. I apologize for almost doing that to you, Michael. Start 2, Najee, BTJ, Cooper. Help me with BTJ. I don't even know who that is.
Brian Thomas Jr.?
Oh, not him.
Yeah, Najee.
Yeah, fine with me. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
If you're a rookie and haven't had a good performance, according to me, you're not an NFL player yet. So he's not even relevant. Flex 1, PPR, Najee, Judy, Thielen, Cooks, Keon Coleman. Not sure I trust him.
I wouldn't trust him.
No, of course not. I'm not sure if I trust any of these players, to be honest, but I'm
starting Najee just because he's a running back.
He plays the Chargers, though, right?
Yeah.
PPR. I think Judy has a really nice connection with Deshaun Watson. I'm not sure what that says about him personally, but I think he's going to be okay for fantasy.
Adam Thielen might be a fun gamble this week.
Oh, I like Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that game has sneaky shootout. It could be the grossest shootout of all time between fucking Gardner Minshew and Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
It's a fun game.
I'm
trying to like map out all these games in my mind when I was doing rankings, and that game has the potential to be game of the year, I think. We'll see.
It would be great if it was. I think either way, though, like take Cooks and Coleman out of the equation here.
If you want to do something
Yeah.
fun and maybe not smart, I have nothing behind this other than this feels like a game where Brandon Cooks catches like 2 touchdowns and CeeDee Lamb owners are pissed. I have nothing to back that up, but he has like 1 or 2 of those games a year. This could be one of them.
Cooks has played the most snaps of any of the Cowboys wide receivers quietly. Got in the end zone last week, I believe. So yeah, he's looked good. I'm starting him in a couple different leagues this week. So no shot at Cooks. It's just I don't think he'll be that great. And Coleman, like we have to see some sort of consistency from Coleman before you can start him.
I was gonna say, and I know we're only 2 weeks in, and it's this what I'm about to say is probably an overreaction, but it's really funny that Keon Coleman was like the darling for everyone's sleeper this week, and he has 4 catches through 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, so also that Cincinnati guy, that made me so angry. The guy from Hawaii, Isofish or whatever.
Isovis, yeah.
I'm like, I said before the game to multiple people, I'm like, at best he has 2 catches. And then I got so many texts afterwards because he had 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. And now everyone's like, see, told you. Like, it's so stupid. He wasn't involved. It's not fair. Okay. Anyway, Johnny D has a PPR question for the better stack. Burrow with Higgins. Don't even know if that's going to be even possible. Carr with Olave, assuming Higgins been healthy. Okay. Rest of season.
I mean, if we're assuming Higgins is healthy, it's Burrow and Higgins.
I don't think it is. I think it's still Derek Carr's on a heater, and look, I do not want to disrespect him too much. Darius Slay has not looked great this year. If he gets put on Olave, I think Olave has a chance now.
I fully disagree with that last part. Darius Slay's good. He's played well.
I'm not going to be the guy who rides Derek Carr, so I'm going to go Joe Burrow and T. Higgins.
Don't put that on me.
I'm not
Darius
putting it on
Slay,
anyone.
by the way, that the one touchdown he gave up is because the other defender got out of position, so he had to come up, and then there's nothing he could do.
Yeah, it's not based on that play. He was fucked no matter what.
Yeah. I just don't trust T. Higgins. I don't trust Joe Burrow either. Like, just I don't know how many more games he's going to play. He hasn't looked good yet. Why are we going to think he's going to look better tomorrow? I think he will, but I don't have evidence of that. Higgins, I wouldn't put any money on him playing a game this year. Should he play this week? Should he play next week? Should he play the week after that? Of course, but why? Like, Bengals aren't willing to do fair deals, and he's second in line of the not fair deals. Why try? And if they lose another game, why try? Like, I can't put any stock into T. Higgins, and if that's what comes back to bite me this fantasy season, I'm very fine with that. I can't do it. It's such a toxic situation there for everybody.
I agree 100%. That's how I feel about Derek Carr.
That's true. I mean, he is tough to listen to and be around.
Yeah.
Per source. Yeah, that's fair. And $1 million question: what do I do with Christian McCaffrey? And that, I think, to start this question, truthfully, what's your record? Because I think the conversation around Christian McCaffrey is how you feel about the rest of your team. Do I think, like, he may be at the exact same point in 4 weeks because it's Achilles tendonitis. He already sat out for multiple weeks, obviously, in training camp and stuff like that, and then it got worse. So what makes us think another month's going to make it better? But it could. So if you are 2-0, I'm holding, because between now and in, let's say, 2 weeks, I don't think his value really goes down. I think they're going to be quiet.
Yeah, and this is a really obvious answer, but if you're fine at running back, you hold him. I'm really curious what Christian McCaffrey's going. There's got to be suckers in your league right now. They're like, yeah, I can trade for McCaffrey right now and stash him away, and I'm going to win a league. To your point, Zach, Christian McCaffrey might not even play this year. So is this the point where you get the most for him right now? I don't know.
I think you have a couple week window. I don't think his value is going to go down. There's no benefit for the 49ers or anybody to say, oh, he's not getting any better over the next couple of weeks. And since he's on IR, you cannot say anything. That's fine. Like you can
Yeah.
answer 0 questions, give 0 reports. He doesn't have to talk to media. So that's why I think it's going to be dead silent, which is positive if you're a McCaffrey owner.
Yeah, I think this is a really huge part where you have to know the people in your league, right? Like you have to, because I mean, for me, his stock has never been lower, only because to your point, Luke, I don't know if he's going to play at all this year. Like it would not surprise me at all. But I know there are going to be some people that think they can get you over on one, and he'll play. And to your point, I mean, if you can get something for him that's decent that can play for you for the next 5 weeks at least, I mean, it's hard to say no to that,
Yeah.
especially if you're already struggling.
Yeah. I mean, and right, a benefit for keeping McCaffrey, right, is you can throw him into an IR spot and you get an extra roster spot. So if you're in the mindset of Zach, I like that. You know, if you feel like you can get, you know, what you're looking, if you want to trade him, what you're looking for now in 4 weeks, then you have an extra roster spot to fuck around with if you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for sure explore trade offers though. Like if you're not trying, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You know what I mean? So, and then that way people know you're willing to budge. And if everyone knows you're willing to trade but haven't done a trade, then it means you haven't got a high enough offer. So then theoretically you'll get higher offers. I will say the IR thing you said, Luke, sounds great. I have a 14 team league. I am the 3rd highest scoring team. 0 wins. Quarterback is Tua, Christian McCaffrey, TJ Hawkinson, 1 IR slot.
Yep.
Yikes.
So
I have that
it's
same
tough.
thing with Nick Chubb too, and it's awful. It's just. Has this been the worst year for injury in a while?
No. We say that every year, but no. I mean, it's big names, but it's because everyone's more into fantasy now.
Yeah, I'm going to say no because I drafted like Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry in a lot of leagues and Jonathan Taylor, and I've not been really decimated by injuries, but I can understand people being pissed off. But Johnny, if you're still in the chat, Christian McCaffrey, like if you were to trade him, I'm curious what you would look at getting.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to trade it to somebody who has a good record, right? I don't know why someone who's 0-2 would trade for him unless they're really just desperate, swinging for the fences, hoping he comes back in a couple of weeks. But usually it will be the person who feels very confident about their team. And if McCaffrey does come back, then that's what's going to push them over the edge, right?
Yeah.
So looking at those teams, then you got to convince them to give up something for him. That's the tough part.
This is why I say be very careful of trades at the beginning of the season. After week 1 in our 16-team Yahoo team, I was trying to trade Mason to the guy who owns McCaffrey for like Jalen Waddle, and boy, would that have blown up my face. So be very careful for the stock market the early first 2 weeks, because boy, can it change so fast.
Be careful, but I mean, you can come on the other edge of that though too. So sniff around. Maybe you'll find a gem. Find a truffle. You pigs. Okay. Did we talk about? We really didn't talk about running backs at all. Really quick, just for the ones I'm the most different on. I am 7 higher on David Montgomery at 12, 5 higher on Zach Moss at 18, 4 higher on Jerome Ford at 20, 6 higher on Carson Steele at 30. That's kind of surprising. I am 5 lower on Josh Jacobs at 16. I'm 7 lower on Kyron Williams at 21. 6 lower on Brian Robinson at 22, 6 lower on Rashad White at 24, 4 lower on Najee at 29, 4 lower on Alexander Madison at 46, and I'm probably going to put him at like 60. I think
you should be 16 lower on Alexander Madison.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. Any of those jump out at you before we read Johnny's comment here?
No, I'm still. It's still. I feel like we haven't had a kind of a clear cut what's going to happen with Cincinnati backfield yet. Like they got down. I think it was 3rd quarter. They got down to the red zone, and Zach Moss was in for like 2 plays, and then Chase Brown came in. So if I'm a Chase Brown owner and Zach Moss owner, like we said to start the year, I probably feel a little bit more comfortable with Chase Brown, but I'm not ready to give up on Zach Moss yet.
I think Zach Moss is the lead back. I'd prefer him.
Interesting. Okay.
I think Chase Brown is more of the receiving one at the current moment, more of the change of pace guy. Pater has CMC and Mason. He's worried that if McCaffrey comes back that they're going to split time. Do you
No,
think that is true?
I'm not worried.
Split, no. Share, yeah, if that makes sense. I still think it's going to be 65-35 McCaffrey at worst.
Yeah, and 65% of McCaffrey is like 90% of like any other running back in the NFL. But is this a situation where like San Francisco's winning game? I know that they didn't win against Minnesota, but San Francisco is still one of the better teams in the NFL, right? If they're winning games without McCaffrey, why would they bring him back until he's 100% healthy? And when he's 100% healthy and comes back, like he's going to carry the load.
Yeah, and my power rankings this week didn't even move San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, this entire week, like I pretty much kept everybody who lost at the exact same spot. Like, don't even blink at week 2. Week 2 is fucking out of hell. Don't even pretend you heard nothing. See nothing, heard nothing. Business as usual. It's gonna correct itself. It was an odd week. He's 0-2. Someone who's 2-0 wanted to give me Waddle and Javonte Williams. I would not accept that.
Nope. So hold on to him.
Yeah, Waddle gets worse. And do you feel comfortable starting Javonte Williams? Because I don't.
Never.
Okay. Looking at receivers, I'll quickly go over the top 5 and the ones who I am most different on. I have CeeDee Lamb at 1, Justin Jefferson 2 versus Houston, Amon-Ra at Arizona at 3, Rashee Rice 4 at Atlanta, and I have Nico Collins 5 at Minnesota. Does that sound good? Anyone you're surprised not to see?
No, I mean, it's probably ignorance on me. I haven't kept up my lines. There's nothing wrong with Amon-Ra. You're not scared with injury coming into this week. Nothing off of you on that?
No, logged a full practice today. He's good to go.
Cool. Yeah, then I'm cool with
it. For receivers, I'm most different on. I'm 7 higher on Chris Godwin, who I have at 8. Again, I just think Mike Evans gets Surtain, and Chris Godwin's been great already anyway. I don't know why that would change.
That would be my only pushback for a top 5. I forgot about Chris Godwin. Is like, I mean, to your point, he's wide receiver 1. He's looked as good as he's ever looked in the NFL. Why go? Like, I can see 15 targets, 10 receptions for him this week for sure.
Yeah, consensus rank is 15 on him. That feels weirdly low.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers, I'm 4 higher on at 15. I think Ravens have to have a good game. And then Stephon Diggs, first game back in Minnesota, I have at 18, which is 4 spots higher. Feels like a good performance is coming there.
Yep, big time. And he was not happy leaving Minnesota either.
Not happy leaving Minnesota. He's been vocal on the sidelines, but Stephon Diggs has been good with letting Nico Collins get the shine. This week, it's the Stephon Diggs show. It has to be.
Yeah, I agree. Especially and credit to the Bears defense, because they played great on Sunday night. But Texans offense didn't look great. Like, this kind of feels like let's just get back to what everyone thinks we are, and let's pound the fuck out of Minnesota here.
Mm-hmm. I'm also 31 spots higher on Josh Downs. He is coming back this week. Everyone take notice. That's being slept on hard.
Yeah, I had written that down. I mean, that totally affects Alec Pierce, right?
For sure. Yeah. Josh Downs is the number 2 weapon again.
Yeah. Okay.
Receiving weapon.
Yep. I agree.
Players I'm lower on. Okay, so I'm 7 lower on Jamar Chase. I have him at 9. Consensus is 2. I fully get it. I can't do it just from what I've seen. But matchup wise, fully get this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 4 lower on Garrett Wilson at 11. We've talked about it. I'm 5 lower on Mike Evans at 16. We've talked about that. I'm 5 lower on Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a bum. DJ Moore, I'm 4 lower on at 22. 4 lower on Brian Thomas Jr. at 36. We talked about him. He's not an NFL player yet. Packers receivers, I hate. That's about it. I'm seemingly lower on everybody somehow from what the list looks like. But anybody there you want to talk about?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we'll probably talk about the next show. But Packers receivers, like outside of like one play to Romeo Doubs last week, does anything really strike you as like these receivers are going to be used down the field if Malik Willis is starting? Another one like that was a sleeper this year, and it's again 2 weeks in. Christian Watson is like one catch this year. So I think if you still have Christian Watson believers in your league, get rid of him. I think really the only one to keep is Jaden Reed, and only he gets the ball 5 times a game. So, Packers receivers, I think you can, if people are high on them, trade them away.
I mean, the whole thing coming into the season that we were telling you was the Packers receivers are going to be inconsistent as hell for fantasy. And now they have Malik Willis, and suddenly that's going to make them even at the same inconsistent. I mean, it's just, I don't get it. I'm not touching any Packer receiver ever until they get a 1. I haven't since Devontae, and I think that's the way to go. You want to win fantasy, stay away from Packer receivers outside of Jaden Reed. Because, I mean, do any of us really know that Romeo Doubs going to do anything? Like, he can get a big catch, sure, but I mean, he can also put up 2 for 20.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. On a normal week, I mean, Romeo Doubs, for the people who still don't understand, Romeo Doubs is the number 1 receiver in the offense, not number 1 fantasy asset. That's Jaden Reed, number 1 receiver. Christian Watson is the number 3. And if the Packers should be trying to trade Christian Watson right now, but they won't. It is what it is.
I will say,
go ahead.
And we'll talk about once again. We'll talk about it the next show. It was nice to see accurate passes as a Packer fan.
I know, it's amazing to see what happens when we have an accurate quarterback. It's crazy. I missed it. Start Purdy or Carr this week. Carr. Pick one defense to start. Bills, Packers, Raiders. I still have the Raiders ranked the highest, obviously, playing the Panthers, but I kind of want to lower it. I would go. I think the Bills.
Jacksonville sucks. Go Bills.
Yeah.
I want to trust the Packers, but yeesh.
Yeah. Drake London, Michael Pittman, Judy, Zamir White, Carson Steele. I think I would start Pittman in London.
Close.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
Does Joe Mixon play this week? I don't think so. If not, you got to play Gus Edwards. Yeah, I think you're going to be with Gus Edwards.
Another thing that I had written down is Chargers running backs, like even J.K. Dobbins, is it a sell high right now? I know that the running back market isn't great and you probably want to keep good running backs, but the Chargers kind of a brutal schedule coming up here.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely a sell high because I think last week people were like J.K. Dobbins is legit. I know he's legit, but like my gut's still not in it. Then after that performance, I think a lot of people are fully sold. So if you can fully sell him as a borderline or maybe a firm running back 1, go for it. Pretty easily. At some point, they're going to have to pass, and then they're going to realize, oh, we can't pass, and then the offense is going to fall apart.
Yeah. Just looking at the schedule here, it's Steelers, Chiefs, Broncos, Cardinals, Saints, Browns, Titans, Bengals, Ravens. Like, there's good defenses there.
I think they beat the Chiefs to give the Chiefs their first loss. I think I wrote that somewhere.
Okay.
They feel like a team built to beat the Chiefs, but to really struggle against some very bad football teams.
And even beyond that, Falcons, Chiefs, Bucks, Broncos again, Patriots, Raiders. Like, the defensive matchups aren't great for the Chargers.
No, and they're just not very deep at the current moment, but we'll see. They're a good team. They'll be probably a 9-win team because that is what the Chargers do. Okay, tight. Go ahead.
John Harbaugh's like the biggest football guy of all time, right? Or Jim Harbaugh,
yeah.
I mean.
Jim, yeah. He's the best.
Yep.
Absolutely the best. Like Moses said, I will die on my staff, leaning on my staff. What a guy. What a man. Tight ends quickly. This is a clusterfuck as well. I have George Kittle 1, Brock Bowers 2, Trey McBride 3, Sam Laporta 4, and Dalton Kincaid 5 for the record. Kelsey is 6, Andrews is 7. What do you feel about that 5?
I mean, it's weird seeing Kelsey and Andrews on the top 5, right? I assume it's just a trust thing for you. Like, let's see it.
Not Andrews. I mean, Andrews is done. I haven't ranked him in the top 5 yet. I don't think.
Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah, don't like him. Kelsey will get back there. Just, it is what it is. What I've heard a lot actually is that, you know how he always ran the read routes essentially, like he's just reading the defense and he's running his own thing. It sounds like Rashee Rice is doing a lot more this year. So if he's doing that, then Kelsey has to run the actual drawn up plays because he can't have multiple people doing it. So he's just less open. And that makes sense. It just makes the Chiefs that much more dangerous later on.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But He'll be better. Shout out you, Pater. Randy, when does Jordan Love come back? I'm gonna guess Vikings week 4.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone going nuts that he practiced this week. It was a non-padded practice.
Non-padded, no contact, light jogging, had a brace on under his sleeve.
Yep.
Tight end.
Looking at you, Aaron
higher,
Nagler.
lower. Was he jizzing his jeans or what?
His whatever their company is, Cheesehead TV or whatever, was all caps. Jordan Love is back, baby! Like 4 exclamation points.
Yeah.
Packers fans are the worst.
It's like saying, what the Cowboys media said, that Jake Ferguson's practicing on the 2 comeback practice field or whatever. Like, oh, he's trying to come back to play this year. That's not news. It's not different than being out.
Yeah.
Compared to the consensus, one actually kind of makes me sad here. I'll start with it. I'm 4 lower on Hunter Henry at 15. That hurts me.
Zach.
We'll change it. I'm a Hunter Henry guy. I have to die on my sword there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, 5 higher on Colby Parkinson at 11. That feels like a dangerous game, but I feel like he's going to get a decent amount of targets.
Someone has to catch the ball there.
Yeah, you would think. They should. I have Kate Otten 4 higher at 21. Juwan Johnson 4 higher at 22. I think he's sneaky this week. Taysom Hill most likely not going to play, so that helps him a little bit. Luke Schoonmaker, I have 9 higher at 23. We'll see if Jake Ferguson comes back. If not, I think Schoonmaker could have another good fantasy week. I'm lower on Isaiah Likely, lower, unfortunately, on Hunter Henry, lower on Jonnu Smith. I don't believe the Jonnu Smith thing in Isaiah Likely. We know what Isaiah Likely is.
Yep, I agree with everything there, except for Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
That's a bad take.
Hunter Henry could throw, run, and catch for a touchdown tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's always within the possibilities. So, that being said, he'll sniff the top 10. He'll be close, I think.
So this is where, as a Hunter Henry guy, this is usually where my demise comes into play. I'm starting Hunter Henry over Mark Andrews in a league this week.
Go for it. That sounds awesome. What do I have Mark Andrews ranked at? I will swap them at this current moment. Mark Andrews 7. Okay, it's going to be a big swap. Okay, I'll do 2 swaps. So Mark Andrews now goes to 15. Oh, whoops, I did the wrong one. Who did I swap? Okay. Yeah, Mark Andrews comes down to 15. Isaiah Likely will swap with Mark Andrews. So Mark Andrews will be at 13. Isaiah Likely 14. Hunter Henry 7. Yeah, that seems better.
Go on FLURRYSports.org. Hunter Henry was one of my streamers of the week.
Trade Kamara for Mahomes in a super flex.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I would love that.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
That's a super interesting question, actually. Before we get out of here, let's do our segment. We won't do the intro. We'll monetize this video just for fun. Got to pay the bills. If you haven't played on Underdog Fantasy yet, download the app. You can scan the QR code there or go to underdogfantasy.com, Underdog Fantasy on the App Store. Use the promo code FLURRY, FLURRY, and you get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. You can play a bunch of different props on there, so higher or lower, individual player props, some group ones, fantasy points if you want to do that. There's also live drafts. So you can do live drafts against other people, draft a fantasy team for the week, for the night, for the season. Lots of stuff, lots of sports. And I do believe if you sign up right now, you get an Aaron Rodgers gimme pick 'em. It's over a half a yard. And I think he will get over a half a yard. So you can pair that with any of them that we say right now, and you can make a bunch of money. Trevor, do you have one that you like?
I do. Ironically, it's Hunter Henry. His target line is at 5. I understand he had 3 in week 1. I understand, he's not going to get 12 a week in week 2, but he's a part of this offense.
Right.
5 is an even number. He just has to get more than 4. Obviously, that's how math works. I like that, where worst case scenario, you're tying. I don't see many scenarios where he doesn't get just over 1 target per quarter. And I haven't loved so far what I've seen from the Jets defense. So I think although New England should probably lose this game, in my opinion, they'll be able to move the ball. And if so, Hunter Henry is going to be a part of that. They at least have to try to get him the ball.
Yeah, agreed. Mine, I love it. It's Kyler Murray, higher than 34.5 rushing yards. He's gone 57, 59, and it's going to be a game where they're going to have to score points. So I think it easily hits. And two more that I like that I'm not going to add to this parlay, but it would be fun to spice it up. Devon Achane, over half a touchdown at a 1.1 times multiplier. Like, there was no fucking reason why Devon Achane should have been in the game in that fourth quarter. What a slap in the face to everyone who picked up Jalen Wright. But I mean, he scored a touchdown. Like, why can't that happen again? It very well could happen again. And also, we see it a lot on primetime games. Patrick Mahomes kind of like to take the game over by himself. He has a 3.12 multiplier for over half a rushing plus receiving touchdown.
I like that. I created, with the Aaron Rodgers promo, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pick. So it's a flex. So you can lose one. You can still get paid. Actually, it's over 5. So it's a 2 flex. You can lose 2 and still get a payout. And yeah, that includes the Aaron Rodgers over a half yard. I have 4 from my sneaky shootout of Carolina, Las Vegas, which, again, must watch television. I'll start there. I have Andy Dalton over 214.5 passing yards. Lock it up. I have Devontae Adams over 63.5 receiving yards. I feel like they figured out that he can catch the ball last week.
Yep.
I have Adam Thielen higher than 43 receiving yards. I have Brock Bowers over 45 receiving yards. He's been doing that. And then the other one from another game I threw in, Stephon Diggs over 50.5 receiving yards against the Vikings. That could happen first play.
Yeah, it might. Okay. I was gonna say it will happen first play, but yeah, it might. Yes, I agree.
Like, there's no scenario where he's not featured this game. Right?
Why wouldn't they throw a bomb to him if they start with the ball? Very first play of the game.
Well, even still, like, he's had 33 yards, 37 yards. He's been not quiet, but quiet for Stephon. He's been a good leader. He's done his thing. Now, the very first time he ever gets to go back to play Minnesota in Minnesota, I think this team wants to do this for him. Like, the team wants him to have a huge game because he's viewed as one of the leaders, one of the things. So, yeah, that feels easy to me. Easy. A couple questions here. Ask them. We'll answer all of them that we got. Then we're going to get out of here. And we'll be back soon for a Lombardi sweep immediately after. But we got CJ Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, Travis Etienne, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Jalen Waddle, and Trey McBride. Would you try to trade Ramondre for Henry or James Conner? No, I'm not doing a position for position. And you're just hoping that your running back starts to get worse. That makes no sense.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, don't like that trade. Smith. Somehow managed to get both of these guys, but McBride or Kelsey, got to go McBride right now, I think.
Yeah. I don't like it, but yeah.
It's just guaranteed targets, man, at this current moment.
It is.
Yeah. Kelsey will come around.
McBride's catching a touchdown this week. You heard it here first.
Don't feel like you need to move one of those guys because obviously you got 2 really good tight ends and you're just like, yeah, I guess I'm good with McBride. I'll just sell Kelsey for whatever I can to upgrade somewhere else. I think Kelsey gets better. So I think you're fine. Another touchdown I didn't add because I liked his yards more. Brock Bowers hasn't scored yet. He's just been so good. So like I said, I took over 45.5 receiving yards because I like that more. But I think in my touchdown parlay I create, I think he's going to be in it. And I assume it's going to be pretty nice odds with that too.
Yep,
I have a feeling this week. I got the itch. Like, we're gonna hit a big touchdown parlay this week.
Let's all make some money this week.
Let's do it. It's been a couple good fantasy DFS weeks to start. It's time for a huge sports betting one.
Yep.
It feels good. Kelsey maybe due for a big week for sure. I think there's almost no scenario. McBride has a tough matchup against the Lions. I don't think it's really that tough of a matchup. I think it's a fine matchup. It's not easy, but like, I feel like there's almost no scenario where McBride has a bad week, and we've seen the scenarios play out for Travis Kelsey back to back. So that's where I'm at least.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we talked about it too? Like Kyler Murray's always going to look to the slot first, right? He's going to look for the short intermediate routes, and it feels like Trey McBride can make a living there against Detroit.
Thursday night football parlay. Go with I don't know what the over unders at, but go with Jets money line. They play the Patriots. Okay, so you're going higher on Hunter Henry's yards. Humble King, he won't score. He'll let somebody else score. Go Ramondre Stevenson touchdown. Jet side. I'm going over the Tyler Conklin yards. He's been really, really quiet for a couple of weeks. I'm sure you'll get that at like 19 or something.
What do you think about over Breece Hall receiving yards?
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think they'll have an easier time passing than running, probably. So
yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers would be happy
that.
to take Breece Hall all game.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I assume that would be a pretty nice parlay, actually, if you put that all together. Yeah, and for the cherry on top, another Braylon Allen touchdown.
I love it.
Go with that. I'm afraid the odds are going to be like, oh, he's so young. Like then everyone's on him now. How it's weird that the last point. Weird that the NFL is suddenly turning into Wisconsin football. Like everyone's talking about Braylon Young. Like I swear to God, in 2 weeks, someone's going to say on like Troy Aikman's going to be like, "Did you know Jake Ferguson's Barry Alvarez's grandson?" It's going to be insane. Like they did the Troy Fumagalli thing. Remember that? Like he's got 9 fingers. It's
It
I don't
feels like
what's going on.
It feels like 4 out of the top 10 linebackers this year are all from Wisconsin. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, Zach Bond. They're like, this guy was so good at high school sports. I'm like, yes, he was.
Yeah,
you're right. He was.
Yeah, TJ Edwards is just a heat-seeking missile right now.
Yeah.
Draft Badger linebackers. Damn it, just do it. It's real simple.
And don't overthink it. Looking at you, Green Bay. Could have gone what? We avoided it. Ended up moving Connor and Dell for Harrison Jr. and Worthy. I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I love this trade because there's a couple high risk, high reward guys in there, and I love that for fantasy football. So I'm cool. I love it.
I don't love Tank Dell either. I think people are still valuing him super high. Cream cheese or butter on a bagel? Obviously, cream cheese.
How about Randy? How about both?
I'm gonna go completely different. Plain.
Dude,
those cinnamon sugar mini bagels that you can get from the grocery store, fantastic. Plain. Don't ruin them. Don't get cute.
I think they were ruined when you got them. Are you
you
toasting them
too? You're right.
Yeah, you just pop. That's disgusting.
Okay.
What's the best kind of bread? Hard bread. Like that's all that is. I like to chew on it for a while first. Gross. It's like you're eating stale hot dog buns. That's what that feels like. Should I accept this trade? Giving to I think yes already.
Yeah.
Kincaid for Richardson and Gesicki. Yeah.
Unless you get points per concussion, yes.
Even though Gesicki is like bricks for hands, yes, you are accepting this trade.
Yeah, I think so. Assuming like your other quarterback isn't Dak or something. Like I'm assuming you're getting a very big upgrade at quarterback. And I don't trust Gesicki. I think you're still working at tight end. You're still gonna have to figure things out when T. Higgins comes back. But
if you can,
I don't think giving up Kincaid is giving up the world.
No, to your point, if you can get anything for Tua, do it.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I do think he comes back and he's gonna play the Bills, and then DeMar Hamlin's gonna put the final nail in the coffin.
What if they knocked each other out of the league on a hit just like that last one?
It does feel like DeMar Hamlin got a loss. Tua came back. He lost one. Yeah. If it's the only issue is that game's not prime time because those two only die in prime time. But who was it? The week after the Bills play the Dolphins, Dolphins are in prime time because I looked this up on the Flurry Sports Pod this week. They play. Ooh, that's a scary one. Was I wrong? Okay. A couple weeks after then, they play this. On December 1st, they play the Niners in primetime. That might be
Fred Warner going at Tua?
I think it's going to be John Lynch. I've seen John Lynch.
Yeah.
I've seen him hit people.
Is Tua gonna die on the football field?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's sadly definitely like an actual possibility now.
This is an interesting wrinkle to that trade. So I said, don't do it if you have like a Dak or a good quarterback. His quarterback's Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
That's
I like
interesting,
Baker.
actually.
I'm riding with him.
So, yeah, what's the difference between Baker and Anthony Richardson? I think Anthony Richardson gets better. I think that's going to be high risk, high reward.
Yep.
Like, I might stay.
I'm
I
staying.
won't get out of this, but like I said, if you can get something else for Tua.
Yeah, for sure. Still explore a Tua trade.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're upgrading enough.
Yep.
You're
Yeah,
not
I like
really
Baker
upgrading
rest
at
of
the
season.
position you need to upgrade at.
Yep.
Okay. We'll be back in a little bit, right on the same channel here. Yeah, Luke?
This is a good show. This is a good show this week.
You know what? Pat on the backs all around. Everybody do it. There you go. You're